drives one in the air. Deep right field. It's got a chance. Grand slam. Way back it might be. It could be. Cubs win. Cubs win. Cubs win. Holy cow.
The Dingers podcast is on the air. I'm your host, Mitch. I'm here with my boys, Kevin and Jeffrey. The Cubs made a blockbuster move yesterday, and we're here to talk about it. The Cubs traded Christopher Morel for Isaac Paredes. There was also Hunter Biggie and Tyler Johnson going to the Rays as well with Christopher Morel, but a surprising kind of trade. I know it caught me a little bit off guard. It's a deal that I know for me, I wish they would have made last in the winter. I wish they would have done that in the winter.
Like right
I know
after
that
the winter meetings.
Yeah, I wish we can get into it more, but I think it's something they discussed, but never got to full with the glass now and everything else type of deal. But Isaac Paredes is now officially a Cub. He's back a Cub. So Justin Wilson kind of still haunts this team because if you remember, we traded Jamer Candelario and Isaac Paredes to Detroit for Jose Avila and Justin Wilson. And if you remember, Justin Wilson's the one that told Anthony Rizzo to shut up. Do you remember that? But we have now in the last 2 years gotten back the two players that we traded away for Justin Wilson and Jamer Candelario and Isaac Paredes. So I remember Isaac Paredes when he was with the Cubs organization. I thought he was awesome then. I thought he would do something amazing. He's went to Detroit and now went to the Rays, and all the guy does for the last 3 years is produce on the field. So we'll dig into that. We'll dig into the Nate Pearson deal and kind of look about what does this look like for the Cubs future and going into more 2025. So you guys doing well tonight? You guys excited about the deal? What's your first hot take feelings of getting Isaac Paredes? And I know Jeffrey's not even going to be able to say the guy's name, so you can just say Guy if you want. We'll go there. So, Jeff, what's your initial thoughts? Hot take.
Too little, too late is what I originally thought. I don't know why we didn't try to make more moves in the offseason to try to bolster this roster. But if we got him under control for a few years and he actually does perform on the field, at least maybe we've plugged a hole at one of our questionable corner infield spots.
Yeah, I totally agree. My initial reaction, because I can't remember. For some reason, I was on my phone. I think I saw on Facebook somebody post a video of Morel hugging people in the dugout, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And I had to do a little digging.
That's normal. Everybody, opposing players, umpires, doesn't matter. The guy selling hot dogs.
That's true. Though different energy around him when he was given these hugs, opposed to his usual ones, and I was a little off, and then I had to do a little digging, and then as I got thinking about it, because I'm sad to see Morel go. I like his energy. However, we've talked before that this team has so many players in weird situations. Like Morel doesn't really have a defensive position, but we don't want to give him the DH. That leaves the hot corner a little unmanned at times, a little difficult to see who's going to be there from day to day. Whereas getting Isaac Paredes means we have a third baseman. It means we have an everyday third baseman, and we've seen flashes from Bush all season that we have an everyday first baseman. Like a couple of questionable positions don't seem so questionable anymore. Kind of seems nice. We know who's going to be in there at third base as soon as he flies into Chicago.
Every day.
Yes,
we know who's going to play
every
third
day.
base.
Yep.
With any
Estock's Ameritrade. That's who's at third base.
Estock's Ameritrade.
for me, like life in general has a lot of risk to it, right?
Oh yeah.
I could drive not to school because I'm a teacher and I have summer off. But I could drive to go to CrossFit tomorrow and get in an accident, right? There's risk in me driving there, right? There's risk in trading Christopher Morel and him becoming a thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? He hasn't been a thing with the Cubs. He this year he has been horrible with the Cubs. And we can't keep wishing upon a star that he will turn into something when really he doesn't have that pedigree. Like even in the minors, he was never like a top 10 prospect coming up. He was producing at Double-A and they made the jump because they needed a guy, and we caught lightning in a bottle. And is he a good guy? Was he fun to watch? Was he entertaining? Yes. He checked all his boxes. And we kind of went into this year with the Christopher Morel experiment. We tried him at third base and it wasn't working out. We thought he could be a middle of the order guy and it wasn't working out. That was the risk that Jed took into this season. He was going to go into it. It's like, all right, we have this guy. He's went through our system. Let's go into this thinking that the other guys that we have, the Dansby Swansons, the Cody Bellingers, the Nico Horners, that they're going to produce enough that can carry us even if Morel doesn't figure it out. And the sad thing is none of that worked out. No. None of it. So it made the spotlight on Morel even brighter that things were not working out. And then we have Isaac Paredes coming in, right? There's risk in taking him on, right? He's a heavy puller. I get like on paper, he might not be what you want as a baseball player, but you know what the one thing he does do? He produces on the field. He's not this expected slug guy or expected batting average guy that like we've talked about forever. Like, yeah, Morel's expected home run should be this, or expected he should be getting more base hits. He should be slugging higher. He's expected this. I don't care about expectations of what I think could happen. You know what? Last year, we were expected with our run differential to be first in the division. Were we on the field? No. So I don't care about expected, what stats tell what we should expect. I want actual production on the field. And Isaac Paredes produces on the field. In the last 3 years, what does he have? 67 dingers since 2022. And he doesn't strike out. He's 100 RBI guy. I think the 98 last year with 33 or 31 dingers last year. He was 18th in the MVP voting last year. And the dude can play third base. Unlike Morel, who didn't have a defensive position. So I'm a little hot because we had a little disagreement if for the other guys in the podcast with Jake and Ian, they don't like the deal. And I wish they would be on to say their side, and I can respectfully disagree. But like what he has done as produced, and who's to say, like we talked about all this upside with Morel, who's to say that Isaac Paredes doesn't have the same upside? They're the same age. Who's to say that Isaac Paredes doesn't? He's a skill guy. He has a skill if he can pull the ball. Who's to say he can't learn to hit the opposite field gap in the next year and add that to his arsenal? He's already above average third baseman. Who's to say he doesn't even get better at third base? He's a young dude. And so like I love it. I love that. What this move does is exactly what Kevin said. It shores up a spot that, yes, it should have been dealt with earlier. But you know what? What Jed's doing is he's self-correcting. He's correcting a mistake that he made in this offseason. Like, no, we tried it. I should have went and got Isaac Paredes earlier because that would have shored up a third base. And now, I mean, he's a 3+ WAR. That would put us at 500 baseball. That would put us closer to winning a wild card spot.
Well, I just hope he kind of fits in with the rest of the team, on the field and in the locker room. That's the big thing. Because I know we've had free agent signings that's just like were just god awful terrible. Like Marlon Byrd. That was terrible. How was that? And like you were saying about risking life, Mitch, how many first-round picks in baseball have not been in baseball like 3 years later? 4 years later. You know what I mean? You never know what you're going to get.
That's, I think, the hard part when you look at like I don't remember why I thought of it the other day. I was thinking about the Yu Darvish trade, and like we got those 4 kids. I mean, they were like all under 18, whatever players. I don't remember even who some of them are, but it was one of those.
He was one of them.
Was he? Okay.
He's really
was
the
one of
one
those
that kind of worked out.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, has even one of them moved through the system to the point that it's working out? Because we want prospect status and prospect players, but I don't know that we see them. I don't know that we see that it always works out. Whereas we've got this guy he's every day. Last year he was a 4.3 WAR player. Year before he was a 2.4. Already this year he's 3. He's producing. He's doing it.
Morel was a negative WAR player this year.
Love Morel, man. I love Morel. In fact, when my middle son was struggling in baseball this season, the thing we talked about was take your Morel breath during your at bat. Step out, pull your bat up, breathe on it, step in the box, and hit a grand slam because that's what Morel did. When he first came up. But
my son's wearing number 5 for Christopher Morel. Like he changed his number because he likes Christopher Morel. I like Christopher Morel, right? Mm-hmm. Like, and Ian on our show has talked about like he's loved Craig Counsell because he takes the emotion out of decision making. He doesn't get tied to players. The sad thing is, you Cubs fans, and I'm including Jake and Ian in this, is their emotion. I think they're a little bit of emotional in this. They're let their emotions of maybe hating Jed or their love for Morel not see that this was a good move, not only this year, but a good move for next year as well. It shores up a spot. And yes, he isn't the big bat, but that puts more pressure that we need to hold Jed accountable to not need to go out and get that big bat. But it does shore up one spot.
Yep.
It shores up a spot at third base of a proven guy that can produce and drive in runs. And you know what he does really, really well?
Does he?
Hits with runners in scoring position.
Oh, yes.
You know what the Cubs suck doing this year?
Runners in scoring position?
Hitting with runners in scoring position.
Huh.
He has a 280. He has a 283 batting average with runners in scoring position with an on-base percentage of 387.
Nice.
I'm kind of surprised we get runners in scoring position that often.
Well, tonight it didn't happen.
Nope.
Somebody asked in the chat if we're watching the game. No, we are not. Because
So, all right. Well, you brought in like emotions of being a fan and all that jazz. I actually listened to our buddy Joe Kilgallen when he said a year or two after we won the World Series, or it was better to become a casual fan. And let me tell you, people, if your happiness is tied to the performance of your favorite sports teams, you will be disappointed more in life than if you tie them to something else. An actual hobby, golfing, hiking, cycling, your kids, your wife. I'm just telling you, if your hopes and all your happiness is pinned to your sports teams winning a championship, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be fucked.
You know, Jeff, I'm really surprised you're not a Bears fan. I mean, we've learned this long ago, us Bears fans. Yeah. I agree. I agree. Something else I was just thinking about, and we kind of brought it up earlier, but with Morel gone, Paredes taking the regular third base spots, that DH position gets interesting. Or in my thought, just like Seiya's kind of had some defensive snafus out there in right field. Now
He
you
can't
don't
judge
have
a ball
Kevin.
to save his life.
Are you
Right?
serious?
Yeah.
He's playing that bad.
Yeah.
Did you
it's
see the other
been-
night?
No, I did not.
He misjudged a ball, and it led to there was 2 outs. He misjudged a ball. Ball drops, ends up to be a 6-run inning.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it
That's
was
like
it
dumping-
Hendricks that was pitching that day
Yeah,
too.
and Hendricks looked a little ticked. He didn't.
Yeah.
He looked a little upset.
Mm-hmm. But
And
hey,
then you go back to last year, and he's had a couple snafus this year of like just plays like that. So like,
Mhm.
Well, the last guy we put out in right field from Japan didn't really pan out either. You guys remember Kosuke Fukudome? Supposed to be the
Well,
savior.
the thing is, Seiya can hit, and that's where, with Belly coming back, PCA in the fold, you want PCA to get at bats the rest of this year. I want to see PCA starting most of the time in center, move Bellinger to right field, and put Seiya at DH.
Bingo.
That's what I would do. And then you have speed. You have your best players getting at bats. Paredes getting everyday third base.
You're letting PCA develop at the big league level.
Because why not now? It's like, okay,
Right.
give him every day. That makes Mike Talkman expendable in a trade tomorrow. Somebody's looking for a bench bat. Other person I could see is Nico Horner being traded, because you have Matt Shaw and James Triantos coming up in the system and doing really, really well. Matt Shaw's been raking in AA, probably going to get the call up to AAA here pretty soon. I could see them making a deal for one of those 3, and Matt Shaw has more power. Looking at 2025, like that's what Jed has said in his press conference, that any deal he makes is going to be looking towards 2025 or improving or looking for that. Like Matt Shaw is already going to be a step up than Nico Horner because he has power. He can slug. Nico cannot. I love Nico Horner.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good baseball player, but he's not a slug guy. You slide Matt Shaw into second base. You have Isaac Paredes at third. Now what you need to do is you need to go out and get a power bat right fielder. If you move Seiya to DH, you have to go out and get a bat in right field. Juan Soto, or you make a trade. Get Jameson Tyone and Mark Leiter, trade him to the Yankees, and get Jason Dominguez. That'd be awesome. Make it happen, Chad. But then you can look for a right fielder that has some pop, or an outfielder that you can move over to right field that has your power. And there's probably a lot more of those than second baseman.
Right.
So
Absolutely. And maybe look for in the offseason, maybe see what's out there on the catcher's market. You know, just saying. That
or
seems
you
to be
could,
all.
or you could make a trade for a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
And then look in the offseason for
Yeah,
the right fielder.
Mm-hmm. A lot of options, a lot of things that could happen.
Yeah. Another trade we made is we got Nate Pearson, and I heard his first outing as a Cub did not go well. Gave up a home run, hit the next guy in the head, and got ejected. And Craig Counsell too.
That's a well-rounded night right there, folks.
Nice. Hey, welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Go big or go home.
Oh boy.
Thin crust pizza. No, we're from Chicago.
Man, if he just threw one at the mascot, it'd be a perfect outing.
The thing that Nate Pearson does is he throws really, really hard.
Nobody knows where it's going.
He was the number one. He was the number one prospect in the Tigers organization a couple of years ago. he has good stuff. Like he has a pedigree, prospect pedigree that he just needs to find it. And why not take a flyer on a guy like this to see if you can find it and get him ready for next year? Why not the rest of this year? That's where it's like, that's the type of deal you need to be making at this time of year. You have a guy that has been successful in the past in the minors. He hasn't in the majors, but he has super high velocity and he doesn't have a secondary pitch. The one pitch that I would say that he needs to work on is a splitter to complement his high fastball. And you know who has a whole bunch of guys on their team that throws really good splitters? The Chicago Cubs. Mark Leiter has a good splitter. Shota Imanaga has a good splitter. Like, teach this guy a splitter to go with his fastball, and he's going to be lights out.
For the naysayers out there, I'm going to throw out one pitcher that came and joined the Cubs who was just god-awful terrible in Baltimore, and that would be Jake Arrieta. What he did for the Cubs.
Another one that came from Toronto, because that's where Pearson came from, Merriweather.
Oh.
Toronto couldn't figure out Merriweather, how to make him successful, and the Cubs did. And guess what? Merriweather last year started out rocky for the first 5-10 outings, and then he figured it out. So I'm gonna that's a great first outing for Pearson. Let's get all the bad things out of the way. The first game.
True.
Yeah.
And then was
the
pitch 100 miles an hour that the guy hit for a home run? And was it 100 miles an hour they drilled the guy with? Because if it had good velocity and movement, let's take it. Find the positives, right?
There's so many Nuke Lelouch things that are running through my head right now. Like, I want to dig in. I don't know where the next one's going.
Who's a guy that you guys could see traded for by tomorrow?
Traded from us?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I honestly think Nico Horner's too, I don't want to say too big of a personality, too big of a player to be traded tomorrow. That'd be too soon. To me, that would take a few days to put something together to make that deal worth it. I'd really be sorry to see Jameson Taillon go, even though I was down on him last year because he had a lot of rough outings, but he kind of figured it out halfway through the season. He's had some really good starts this season, but boy, 24-hour turnaround to pick a guy that's going to be gone, that's hard.
The reason why I would trade Jameson Taillon is because sell high. This is the best we've seen of Jameson Taillon.
Right.
I think this is the best we will ever see of Jameson Taillon. It's the same with I'm surprised that we got Isaac Paredes for Christopher Morel, with Morel stock being so low.
Right.
That's probably why we had to throw in Hunter Biggie, is because Morel wasn't that good to be able to just be Morel by himself.
Yep.
But
I could see
I would trade him with his stock being high.
Mm-hmm. I could see Smiley being traded. I kind of see he fits kind of an interesting role.
Pallet of Gatorade and some laundry detergent. What the fuck?
Yeah, we're not going to get much, but I could see a team wanting Smiley for a veteran bullpen arm. He's been in rumors with Atlanta, going back to Atlanta where he was successful before. But I don't expect to get much in return.
You gonna fill our soda machines for a year?
It's the same with why I could see them trading Mark Leiter, because Mark Leiter, bullpen arms are so fickle. They can be good one year, bad the next. It can be good half the season and bad the next. I could see them trading Mark Leiter when his stock's high to try to get something. I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are. Those bullpen guys are just a weird breed. When you're hot, you're hot. And when you're not, you're not.
Well, and you can be weirdly successful with all sorts of stuff underneath saying you're a terrible pitcher, like Hector Neris. For how long was he like walking multiple guys every ninth inning? I don't know. I could see him being traded because he's actually started to put together some pretty good outings lately.
Apparently, we got a 97.5-mile home run ball and a 96-mile-an-hour hit by pitch ball.
I'm really disappointed that the hit by pitch was slower than the home run ball.
Still, man, can you imagine getting hit in the head with a 96-mile-an-hour baseball?
Yeah, no.
God.
And stepping back into the batter's box the next time you get up to bat. Like,
Right.
how do you not like immediately start ducking? Like,
Put your heels on the chalk line and then like crouch down real low.
Question to you guys: do you think these trades are Jed trying to save his job? Is it a last ditch effort of a guy that knows his
Yes.
contract is running up?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's a guy that's actually trying to put a really good team together for next year, and he's thinking, how can I build the best product for next year?
Well, I have two thoughts. I agree with you thinking this is his last-ditch effort to try to save his job. But also, we don't know the conversations that are being had in the front office. Maybe he wanted to make more moves in the offseason, but was told, no, we're not going to spend that much
Or
money.
players just didn't want to come here.
Yeah. Anything could have been. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know. But I also believe that he's at least trying to save some face with the fans and the franchise and trying to give us a better opportunity at being better next year.
And I would imagine as a professional in the front office, like, I don't know how much he could think he's going to pull over the eyes of the fans and how much that would actually save his job versus like the product on the field.
Right.
I mean, if they're if they're an obviously better team heading into next year already on paper before this year ends, I would imagine that's probably a win, even in the owner's playbook.
Right.
And that's the thing. I think that Jed is not trying to save his job. I think he's trying to take accountability for where he's failed. And he failed in getting a third baseman. He made a great deal in getting Michael Bush to shore up first base. And the dude, like, I love Michael Bush. What he does for this lineup, he has a very good skill set that can be a good first baseman and just a good guy in this lineup. But when you look at where we were last year and heading into this season and all the question marks, it's great to know that now this year, one question mark is already filled. It's a period now. And we're way ahead of 2025 than we were last year at this point going into 2024. All right. Last year at this point, we were just trying to make the playoffs, but we don't know what we had with Cody Bellinger because we know this year he's probably not going to come back next year. We're not going to re-sign him again. So we know that. We know we have a third baseman. Now we know we need to go get an outfielder. PCA we know is going to shore up center field. So now, like, a lot of those question marks that we had going into this season aren't question marks. And now we can like really focus. Next year, what we need to focus on is pen. We need to go get a closer and we need to go get a right fielder or some sort of big bat.
Mm-hmm.
Make a trade, something. We need to get a big bat. But like, at least the question marks are a lot less now. So it makes me a little bit hopeful going into 2025, a lot more than I was going into this year. This year, I was still hoping and praying things went out successfully. Because if you remember, I didn't want to re-sign Cody Bellinger.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And look how that turned out. Have we got the Cody Bellinger of last year that happened really for like a month and a half? That Cody Bellinger? We haven't seen that guy yet.
Nope. Not a thing. I don't know. I just remember being optimistic when I found out we signed Craig Counsell. I'm like, yeah, we're going to have a competitive ball club. And we did for like a half hour. And then we got 3 hours of the worst reruns we've ever seen in our lives. But no, I honestly agree with most of your sentiments, Mitch, about we're in a better place this year as last year.
Now it sucks because we shouldn't have even been in the position this year because we should have went out and got a third baseman. That's where I'll agree with like Ian and Jake. Like we should have done more during the off season to not be in this situation. Jed should have spent more, but really, like, would we have wanted Matt Chapman? Because he's not controllable for a long time. He's not young. Isaac Paredes is young. Like he has potential to get even better and hit more home runs. 31 home runs last year. I'll take that. Was he have 18 this year? Like the dude can drive and runs. Like, so I like that we didn't go and spend that money on an old guy. We got some young, but like our starting pitching still strong. So I'm very optimistic going forward. I like the position that the Cubs are in going forward. It's just now, can the young guys keep getting better? And we have the best farm system in all of baseball. That's why I don't think like Jed's job is it on the line. I don't think Jed's job's on the line at all. Because I think with Ricketts, what he's wanted the whole time is for Jed to be able to build a farm system that's a feeder to the big league system so they can be competitive for a long time.
That takes time to do that.
Well, now we got a minor league system that's a top-rated farm system, and it's deep. That in the next couple of years, hopefully, if we start producing better major league talent, that it will backfill and we'll keep having these good guys that we can call up when we need them, and we're still a playoff team, that we are the Atlanta Braves that can be decimated by injuries and still be really, really good. Mm-hmm. That's what they want. That's what I think Ricketts wants. And so I think Jed's job is safe for a while. I think he's even going to get an extension. And so I'm going to get over my dislike for how he's handled the last couple of years because it hasn't been successful, and hope that he does a better job.
I think one of the worst things we could possibly do is to get a different GM at this point.
Yeah, because then you would have to like gut the whole system. You're going to have to gut all the.
Yeah, because different people have a different vision about how to go and do things.
Yep.
Like there are GMs out there that have gone to an organization and just blew through piles of money, made all these bad deals, and then left. And then left the franchise in disarray.
Well,
yep. I agree.
Do you guys have anything else?
Should be. I hope it's an interesting couple of days before the trade deadline. There's been lots of trades, lots of players going everywhere.
Tomorrow at 5:00 is the deadline.
Tomorrow at 5:00.
Yeah. Did I see that the Cardinals traded for a player that they used to have, like on their big league? Is it like Tommy Pham going back to Cardinals?
Is he going back to the Cardinals? I haven't even.
So I can say, did he sign a one-day contract so he can retire a Cardinal? Is that what's happening here?
I haven't there was somebody. That.
Anyway, I don't know. There was something funny I was looking at and I was like, oh. But everybody's there's lots of trades happening. It's a busy trade deadline considering
Michael Busch hit a home run late.
Yeah.
So that got me a dinger pick.
Yeah, Kevin emphasized Busch in the chat. That's how I know he gets dingers.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Make sure that you're subscribed to the On Tap Sports Network YouTube channel. That's where we're streaming live every Monday night, as well as go to the ontapsportsnetwork.com where there are amazing articles written by amazing guys and we cover all Chicago sports, from the Bears, the Bulls, the Blackhawks, the White Sox, you name it, we cover it. Make sure you go check out Cubbies on Tap. They're going to be doing a stream tomorrow covering the trade deadline. So hopefully the Cubs make some more trades. I might jump on that tomorrow with Cubs on Tap to talk a little Cubs and trade deadline deals. So, yeah, thanks for listening and go Cubs.